What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Sports Talk Radio. We in the building, Nicki Marie, live and in effect.
Sticks Mitchell at the Stick Show.
Your boy M Extra.
All right, we got a lot to talk about today. It's been a weekend full of things, and Black History Month. So let's get it started with Frank Robinson.
Oh man, Mike, what you are a resident baseball guy.
Manager.
I definitely I got a little bit to say, but I'll let you start on it.
I think it's really sad that Frank's passed away. He was somebody that was monumental for baseball. He was the first black manager. He was a hell of a baseball player himself, and he started us out on a good standard. Made a good name for us, for other people to follow behind. Actually, I think right now there's an issue in baseball because we have a lack of black managers.
Right.
We don't have a lot of black managers employed right now. I think there's only 2 right now in the major leagues right now.
Oh man.
And it's sad because we had a manager like Dusty Baker who was winning and it's always finds a way to get fired some kind of way. He's coached 3 different teams and 3 90-plus win teams.
Listen. That's to me. That's managerial, deficiencies with Dusty Baker.
No.
So I know one thing about baseball is that the coaches get a lot of the slack. And they'll lose their job quick. So that's not just a flimsy thing that they're doing. That's what everybody kind of like. You'll lose your job in 1 year.
What it is we've seen a lot of white managers who haven't done as well as he has and had more rope to hang themselves with, is what I'm saying. Okay. And recently, baseball put together a foundation or a contingency plan to try to prevent this non-hiring of minorities.
That's my position, exactly.
And put more of them into play. And the thing is that I feel like baseball is trying to mask the problem by acting like they're actively trying to help it, like by creating this organization and doing the little things that they're doing. I feel like they're trying to make it seem to us as though they're doing something about the problem. But then there isn't anything actually going on, there's no results to show for us.
Well, let's be honest, Major League Baseball is predominantly Latino, so I don't think there's a huge demand for African American coaches. There should probably be more than 2, but I'm more inclined to talk about football when it comes to black coaches. Love the job that he did. Had a chance to look over today just a little bit about Frank Robinson, and like you said, he was kind of the Bill Russell of the MLB. He set the right tone for black coaches, player coaches, and the guys that followed him, I'm sure they pay homage to him. For what he did.
Well, I definitely want to talk about the fact that he was the MVP for National and American League. So I want to bring that up.
It's credited, man. Credited.
Yeah, give him credit.
I mean, somebody a long time, they told me, if the black players that, were ushered into Major League Baseball weren't good, there wouldn't have been any more black players. So these guys had to be really good to be playing, on that level for those guys to take chances and sponsor them.
And think about this, though. There was a whole era of the 30s, the Negro League era, the 40s, that went first in this whole thing that had to usher in these guys like Frank Robinson later on in the 70s and 60s and things like that. So just think about the pressure and the things that they had to endure to get to the level that they were at.
Yeah.
It was really tough.
Shout out to Frank Robinson, man.
And
rest in peace.
Jackie Robinson in 1972, during Game 2 of the World Series, spoke out against the fact that there were no black managers in baseball 4 days before he died.
Wow.
So since 1972, we've had 17 black managers in baseball since then. So I think that Jackie Robinson's dream or, the thoughts
well, if he didn't say anything, we probably would have had 7. So shout out to Jackie Robinson, too. Rest in peace.
We definitely want to impart more black managers in baseball.
Yeah, well, we got to talk about Antonio Brown.
Yeah, another Black History Month.
Right, let's talk about this tweet that's out there. Thank you, Steeler Nation, for a big 9 years. Time to move on and forward. Yeah. You think that was a great idea?
I don't like the deuces. Like, there was a deuces in there. You know what I'm saying? That's like a little shade.
It's a little slap in the face. But, somebody like Antonio Brown, it's kind of hard to be upset with him when you look at the way he plays when he's on the field because He's a guy that gives 110% effort when he's out there. Sometimes he can get a little diva-ish, but with receivers, it's more of a thing like where they want the ball. They want to impart their, they want to make their mark on the game, and you got to have the ball in your hands.
But see, I was gonna say, being a professional player, doesn't that mean like every area being professional in your skill and your conduct?
And thank you so much, because this is the king of mediocrity.
We can say that.
He takes these small things and he makes them huge. When you're an athlete, you're supposed to work hard. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to try to be the first guy. You're not supposed to get praised because you come to work every day. You're supposed to come to work every day. Those things mask what is the bigger problem, which is he's a malcontent for a team. He's a cancer because he's more about himself than the team's success. So you look at a guy like Antonio Brown, and I say he's just like Odell Beckham, just a little older, still immature, still worried about his dollars, still worried about his performance. And to go out and ask for a trade in that form, not only just to Twitter, but in Instagram, now I do what I want, the video for Instagram. Oh. Yeah, so you're basically you're shunning a fan base, a strong fan base, by the way. You're shunning a fan base that was there with you through everything. You just had a domestic violence case. You've had cases in the past, and they've always been with you. No one's come out and said, hey, you know what, this is a bad guy. But you know what, I'm starting to see. He's not a good guy.
Hold on here. First of all, the man had never been in trouble before this recent incident that he just went through. So let's not just jump all over Antonio Brown in this situation, because we've seen how the Steelers operated with Le'Veon Bell.
He was just sued for throwing something out the window and almost hurting someone's kid.
We've seen how the Steelers, though, operated with Le'Veon Bell as far as his contract situation, and we see how the Steelers are as an organization as far as the fact that they feel like no one player is bigger than the team, and those are all good things. Those are all good things. But players who perform at an exceptional level need to be compensated as such. And you can't discount what a guy like Le'Veon Bell means to their team, because we saw the results of that this year. So for us to sit here and act like Antonio Brown's just complaining for no reason, and then we watch a guy like Ben Roethlisberger also get up in front of the mic and come down on teammates, blame guys when he hasn't played perfect himself, and he doesn't get the same flack for the things that he's doing. So for Antonio Brown to just get that bad rap for me all of a sudden, I don't know.
No, don't see that. Choose your words carefully. You're saying all of a sudden this has been in the making for about 6 or 7 years. You got an NFL veteran in Ryan Clark that goes on TV and says that he was in the locker room with Antonio Brown before he got the payday. Mm-hmm. And the guy was showing signs of a diva, showing signs of a malcontent. And then he was in the locker room after he got the deal, and he saw the transformation, and he saw the leniency he was given. And he knew going forward what was going to happen, because this was the beginning of the contract. Fast forward 4 or 5 years down the road, now the guy misses practices. He goes out and he talks to the media unprofessionally. Well, he thinks that his quarterback is supposed to be transparent, just not with him. Like, we can talk about everything on the team except Antonio Brown.
Okay, well, so I think that's something. I think that's something that we have to hold Mike Brown accountable for, though. I mean, Mike Tomlin accountable for.
Can I just say, I see your point, but you also have to think of it black and white. Unfortunately, black athletes aren't getting the same treatment as white athletes. Right,
but I also think that the coaching, like I was saying, comes into play, because here's a coach who's supposed to be a player's coach, who's supposed to be someone who empowers more than he's an X and O guy, and he gives certain guys the leeway to do certain things, and then when it blows up in his face, now he's turning into a different individual. So you can't feed the monster, and then when the monster gets bigger, now all of a sudden you're gonna act like you're not the one that was feeding the monster the whole time. So I think it's a little deeper than just Antonio Brown. I think he was kind of like helped to this point right now. I think that he didn't do this on his own. And the other parts of the team that are falling apart, the quarterback, the running back, those are all things that reflect the leadership also. I think that's what we need to question.
No.
Also.
Le'Veon Bell is an upstairs management situation. Ben Roethlisberger lost 20 pounds coming into this year and had great numbers. And he was indicative of what a quarterback should be this year. All of those things that you're talking about were prior years. Ben Roethlisberger was really good this year. Good enough to make the playoffs. He played well. He didn't have those 4 interception games like the year before. He didn't talk about retirement like the year before. This year he showed up.
But they didn't make the playoffs.
Because of other guys. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Don't put it on Ben Roethlisberger. And when you have a leader, the leader has to come out. There are other guys missing. What about the guy, the Shazier? That almost lost his life. You think that doesn't matter?
The whole season.
Bro, that's what I'm saying.
Right, so it's not like
they lost the heart of their defense.
Oh, come on. The defense wasn't the issue. That's what I'm
tell me Ryan Shazier is not an important factor in the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was the heart and soul of their defense.
He wasn't, but what I'm saying is that he was not the reason they didn't make the playoffs.
Yes, in my opinion, not having Le'Veon Bell, not having Ryan Shazier is the reason.
Okay.
Antonio Brown had good numbers across the board. Ben Roethlisberger had good numbers across the board. Juju Schuster, he got good numbers. Everybody had great numbers. So they were missing their star running back and their key player on defense.
Okay.
So let's stop talking about Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger.
He's a good player. He wasn't the key player.
He's the heart and soul. You ask anybody from Steeler Nation, he was the heart and soul of their defense. He made the big plays. He's in the middle of the field. You know what that means. You know what that entails. He made the calls on defense.
Okay.
Okay,
but
so the guy that make the calls is not important.
He's important, but
he's an extension of the head man.
But you were saying it as if he was the best.
Is Mike Tomlin an offensive or a defensive coach?
Mike Tomlin is a motivator. That's what Mike Tomlin is.
He's a defensive coach.
That's what Mike
I mean, the number one guy to him was Ryan Shazier. That was the guy he looked to the most, and he's gone.
Hey, listen. All I'm telling you is Ben Roethlisberger, the management, the leadership at the top of the organization isn't perfect. And they've shown that in the past. So for me,
let's see what happens
I don't see it as being something that's just black and white. I think there's an area that's a shade of gray
elsewhere, Antonio. It's not going to be so easy for you, kid.
Put it all on
Antonio.
Antonio.
Pick him up?
He's talking about San Fran, but the Steelers are going to make a Steeler-friendly deal. Let's be honest. They're not going to put him where he wants to go. You can make all your demands. We're going to put you where it's friendly for us. And we should put you with the Bills so you can see what real struggling is like and get a young quarterback. And now you can appreciate what you've had for 9 years. Because I was a freshman at Duke University. I was in Pittsburgh.
Antonio Brown on the Bills, they're 4 wins back.
I was in Pittsburgh before he got there. I was in Pittsburgh when Ben Roethlisberger was there and they was winning championships. And that town was good before him, and that town will be good without him.
I don't know,
man. Put money on that?
I'm not putting money on
that. Steeler Nation will be fine when he goes.
I know.
Juju will step up.
I know the Steelers are going to have a heck of a time trying to replace 84.
Oh, my God.
I'll tell you that.
Sometimes subtraction is like addition. You heard that one before? Yeah.
Let him trick you in there.
I ain't trained, man. I'm speaking facts.
All right, let's talk about the All-Stars. Y'all talking about defense.
NBA talk.
Let's talk about that.
Let's move on.
I mean, to be honest, I see the All-Star game as a sham.
Yeah.
I hope they come out there with a defensive mindset. But, I look at a guy like Giannis.
That means sham?
Fraud.
Vernacular, fraud. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to make sure we give it everything it needs.
No, it's sad. It's sad. It's not becoming of what it used to be. The greats, they came out there and they wanted to perform, but they also wanted a chance to play against the other great players and stop them.
Right.
I remember Kobe Bryant, guarding LeBron James, like it was Game 7 in the finals.
I got a question for you.
Good moments.
Do you think that the state of the game today is the reason why players don't take the All-Star game as serious? And wait a minute, by that I mean that we have All-Star teams as regular teams now. So do you think that players don't look at the All-Star game with the same, aura that it used to have in the 80s, in the 90s?
Competition has changed. Competition used to be, I'm going to be as physical with you as possible, and we can shake hands after this. Now,
we didn't work out together in the summertime either.
We could do that too, but when we
were on different teams.
Listen, Mike, hold on. When you say we, let's talk about me and you for a second.
Okay.
When we played against each other, I never gave you I never cut any corners.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
I would kick this guy's ass. I would beat him up. I would be as physical as possible with him. I would throw him down if I could, and I don't even think I would apologize because I'm going to take it easy on you. Then you're going to go out there and then somebody else doing.
But this is what I'm saying though. But even in that, there was a healthy dislike on the floor. You know what I'm saying? We had to go into another zone when we stepped on the floor because I knew that if I didn't go into that zone, you were going into that zone. So I had to get myself to a point where I had to be able to look at you and see red for a second, so that I could function as if you're not my friend, you're not my brother in that moment. So that's what I'm saying is that these guys work out together so much, and they know each other so much, and they're talking on Instagram, they're talking on Twitter, and they're talking on Facebook, and it's like, do you guys give each other a second to breathe, so that you can compete? I love Giannis Antetokounmpo because Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I'll be honest.
Stays to
I was a little upset that LeBron traded Westbrook because I wanted to see how Westbrook would guard Paul George. Because Westbrook's that guy, one guy that I feel like he doesn't care about relationships, but he's gotten really cool with Paul George. So I wanted to see that, but now they're going to be playing together.
That would have been an interesting dynamic.
I was waiting, man. I was really waiting because I'm watching the draft, and when they made the picks, I'm like, good. Like everybody else is buddies. Everybody else is buddy. But that would have been the only one that, But we'll see. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a proud guy, and he's leading the way right now. So I feel like he's going to want to lead the way defensively and show guys, hey, this is the way we playing on this team.
And that's a great thing because the All-Star game used to be it used to be an event. It used to be something that we could turn on the TV and watch. Now it's just these guys go out there and play around for 3 quarters.
I don't want to see 200.
In the 80s and the 90s, you used to see All-Star games that were serious throughout the game. Like they were good enough to play around and still be serious. You know what I mean? Like these guys now, it's like the defensive intensity is down. No one wants to guard anybody.
I mean, there's a heavy emphasis on rest these days in the NBA.
That too, right.
And it's because the game is so fast. The game used to be slow and throw it in the post, and guys could play 44 minutes and then play the next night and be just fine. But when you're going sprinting up and down all game, guys use this weekend as rest opposed to showing their greatness, And a guy like Westbrook, he's got no choice but to play hard. So he'll come out and try to get MVP. But my MVP for the All-Star game, I'll say, be Giannis. I feel like he'll come out and separate himself.
I feel like we're getting back to the nasty side of basketball where guys aren't friends. Though with guys like Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, those guys, that Jimmy Butlers of the world. Those guys are the guys that are bringing back to the old school. You know what I mean? So I feel like with players like that moving into this new era that we're going into now, with those guys ushering us in, I feel like they're going to be able to take us in, kind of in that old school realm, like just get us back to physical basketball.
Who's your pick, Nicki? Who you think will be MVP? You can just go easy and
myself,
Celebrity game, man. We could probably get you in there in a couple, 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Build this platform up. You know what I'm saying? We get you in the celebrity game.
We'll get you in the gym. Don't worry about it. This is what we do.
Still waiting.
Everybody says Kevin Durant. I feel like he hasn't gotten one yet. This will probably be his year to come out and go for 50 or something.
I think he's in that rhythm right now also.
Yeah, he's got to be in that mentality of being number one. Because I keep hearing these talks about him wanting to be. Well, I keep hearing the talks about him wanting to be the best player in the NBA, and you got to come out in the All-Star game and show it.
Right.
That's what the All-Star game used to be for.
Right.
Okay, you're averaging this on this team. That's the system. You're averaging this on this team. That's because you shoot all the time. I'm going to show you guys how good I am. I'm going to do it in front of all you guys.
Get on an island.
With all you guys watching.
We're going to get on an island and we're going to dance out here.
If you're that team player kind of guy, you probably just keep passing the ball.
All-Star game's an individual thing. It ain't about team. All-Star game's about individual. That's the one game.
Some people can never get into that type of mentality.
No, you're right. You're right. And some guys are stuck in that individual wanting the star role. And that's why I love Westbrook in these games.
It's funny that you say that, though, because when you watch the All-Star game, you can actually pick out the players who really don't belong in an All-Star game. And not because they haven't played well throughout the season, because their numbers warrant that. But just because they can't perform on that level, they may not have that level of game to be able to perform on that stage. So
I feel like we haven't talked about Steph Curry in a while.
He's quiet, but he's quiet in a good way. I feel like The Warriors right now are just getting better, putting some good games together. He's not scoring the 40 points that James Harden is scoring, and that's why it's getting overshadowed. But he's 30 a night. If you go look at those box scores, he's 30 a night.
He's
He's
like
still
the
early
silent
every
killer.
night.
That's the one team that everybody can get 30 and be happy. No one's looking to be
Right.
MVPs.
And that's
They all
the
feel great about who they
great
are.
thing about Steph is that he's not getting in the way of the development of the team right now because they're adjusting to DeMarcus Cousins.
DeMarcus got 17 attempts last night.
Right, so
Big time.
they're allowing
He was 4
him,
for 17.
right,
But he
they're
got
allowing
17
him to shoot
attempts.
himself back in the rhythm right now. So I think that's just, and that also speaks to management, coaching, also with the Warriors that they have top notch coaching.
Yeah, but the coaches, they could come out and say anything. You know,
Right.
One thing they won't say is get him the ball.
Right.
They won't do that because now you'll destroy the team concept. They got everybody trying to get him the ball. What they will do is put in sets for him. So I won't give management credit for that. Those guys are professionals and they have high IQs. They know that we can shoot any shot we want. But we also know we can swing it around that timeline and throw it in there and let that guy get comfortable. So the guys are putting it on us on getting on that ball.
They also know in June that's going to help them. So
they need them.
Yeah,
Come on. So, you know what I mean? That's players. Those are guys that genuinely like each other and they want to see Boogie Cousins
I
succeed.
definitely agree with you on that one because as a player, you have to be the one to put the onus on yourself to dump it down.
We out here. We got the ball. You know what I'm saying? It ain't got nothing to do with the coaches.
Yeah.
I hate giving coaches credit in basketball. If you notice, we talked about football. Yeah, Mike Tomlin, completely your fault. We talked about baseball. Seriously, Dusty Baker. Things not going right, you got to get out of here. But in the NBA, the players have so much control. A lot of times, the coach is just a puppet.
That's true.
If you look at the Lakers, they talking about letting go Luke every week, no matter whether he winning or
I think
losing.
that's because this is the ultimate improv game. You know,
Because it's 5 guys.
Right.
You know, baseball is whatever number, who knows.
I don't even know
Football
what's
is 11
happening.
guys.
I don't even know what's happening with the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, it's 5 guys.
I don't know
They got all the control. And one guy can change the whole game in basketball. It's not like that for football. It's not like that for baseball. It's a collective thing. Basketball is a real individual sport. And I keep telling people, there's nothing wrong with teaching kids to be individuals. Everybody's always talking about continuity. I heard Shaq say that today. You know, I'm watching Game Time from last night. And Shaq said he hates that word, continuity and rhythm and all these things. He was like, it's about respect. If you respect a guy, you'll make sure you pass the ball when he's open. If you respect the guy, you'll know, hey, he's hot. Let me get him the ball.
Yeah.
You respect the guy, man, he's been injured for 5 games. We got to get him going.
Right.
It's just about respect.
Right.
Coaches want to use these phrases to get jobs. That's it. Coaches coming from the general managers.
look like intellectual.
Yeah. Those are
Right.
real high-powered things. You know what I mean? We want to have a collective that. And it's just about respect. If you guys go into it respecting each other, it'll be fine. Any young guys watching right now,
We've seen instances
definitely
of that
respect
where
who you were.
star players
Yeah.
take certain players with them to certain teams when they've moved and things of that nature because they respect those guys.
Oh, so you understand?
Well, you said a great word,
Mhm.
respect,
Yeah.
Okay.
right?
Where we going with
All
that?
right, I'm going with congrats to Cardi B
Oh, Grammy.
for winning Grammy Best
Alright.
Rap Album.
All right.
26 years old.
Okay.
Grammy
You know,
Cardi.
doing the thing, doing the thing.
Grammy Cardi. big
Reality
time.
TV turned star.
Yeah.
That's,
I mean,
that's how I feel.
I don't say
But-
reality TV. I say stripper turn star.
Yeah.
I'm done.
And that's not
You gotta
even
go
being
back and
that's
forth.
with all
We
due
go stripper, okay,
respect.
stripper.
That's with all due respect.
Hey,
That's with
Reality
all
star.
due respect. She's a stripper.
That's in the
turn
Geneva
star.
Convention if
Alright,
you
so
say
anyway,
it with all
anyway,
due
anyway.
respect.
Okay,
Exactly.
so
You know?
so for everybody out there who doesn't know, BET stands for Black Entertainment Television.
Mhm.
They had a tweet about Miss Nicki
A
Minaj.
miscellaneous tweet.
Wait, a tweet about Nicki Minaj, but with Cardi B?
So what happened was
Mhm.
there was an article that I guess everybody was saying congratulations, Cardi
Okay,
B,
cool.
and it had her picture, but right above that it said Nicki Minaj is being dragged by her lace front.
Oh, man.
Disrespectful,
Yeah.
right?
I remember the whole lace front thing.
Yeah,
and the
you know, they
song.
take that really personal. I know that lace front stuff.
So
The person
so
who wrote
after
it is
this-
probably in big trouble.
Well, let me see what happens
Yeah.
after this, and this just goes to
Whoever wrote it
lack
is
of
dumb.
respect,
Mhm.
and now whoever did it messed up the money bag.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
So Minaj basically sent out a tweet to her fans saying like she's canceling her appearance on the
Power move.
was it the BET Experience Festival,
Oh,
and also
yeah,
she
that's
won't be
what-
at any BET
That's
Awards.
just
Wait, is it her or is it whole Young Money?
It was supposed to be her and some other people, obviously Lil Wayne.
Oh, it's the
Oh,
whole Young
man.
Money. They missing out on big dollars
Yeah,
now.
and
Oh,
like some
man.
other
She-
people.
They dropping bags now, man.
When
Somebody
Nikki-
got to pick that
when
up.
Nikki
So-
hits you, she
so-
hits you below the belt. you
So
know?
the thing, so let's say that this event was supposed to be on Saturday, and then on Sunday it's supposed to be the Migos and Cardi B.
Right.
So who's the bigger star?
Nikki,
Yeah.
Cardi's doing very well. She's breaking numbers, but you have to understand, we're living in a time when the numbers are a little different. You can get your streams from machines. I heard J. Cole say that the other day. So I'm a little leery about all this streaming things. Back when there were record sales, back when you know, things like Billboard charts mattered, Nikki was a big factor.
Yeah.
A big factor. Social media has allowed things to change. So, I like lyricists. I like writers.
Mm.
I feel like Nikki's a better lyricist and
So
definitely a
is
better
she-
writer.
Is she writing all of her music?
Nikki, yes, you better believe it.
I want the receipts.
She had her rhymes in question at one point.
Man,
in
I'm
time.
not questioning
Yeah, she
Nikki
did.
rhymes,
She
man.
did.
Hey, listen, they said
Yeah.
Safari was writing the rhymes.
And what has he done with them rhymes since?
He's
engaged.
Man,
killing.
he's
He's
a
killing them on the
reality
reggae
star.
circuit.
He's a
killing
reality
them.
star. So he
Calypso.
wrote record. He
Calypso.
wrote
He's-
Calypso
But wait,
for
you
Nicki
guys.
Minaj.
I don't know.
This isn't the first time that she's been like attacked like this.
Yeah, I mean, let's think
Hot
about it.
97
Mhm.
kind of did the same thing.
Yeah, they blackballed her, stopped playing her music on the
So-
radio. I mean, they do that to anybody with a voice. You know, I'm watching the Steve Harvey show, and he's going at it with Monique. You know, have you seen that? It's big news today. They had her on Ball Alert.
Monique, the queen of comedy.
Yeah, man, and you know, talking to her about being blackballed and all this, and I'm like, listen, if you can
Precious
say
love.
that, if you can say that someone's being blackballed, you know that's happening, and you don't do something to stop it, you're such a oh man, I lost a lot of respect for Steve today, man, and
So
I'm
Monique
hoping I
said
can do
that
his show
Steve
so
was
I can talk
allowing
to him,
someone
man.
else to be blackballed.
Not that he allowed it, but you know, he basically turned a blind eye to
It
it,
was mom. Okay, all right. Okay.
and that's what's going on right
But
here. You know, it's like.
you gotta be in that industry to really.
If I'm Little
when to
Wayne,
speak
if
up
I'm
and
Little
when not
Wayne,
to.
I'm outrageous. I'm canceling shows. I'm doing PSAs. There's no way I'm having my artist be blackballed because of her opinions. You know, that's like censoring. That's like freedom of press you're taking from somebody. Freedom of speech. I can say what I want. I can do what I want. A big problem with hip hop is they choose who they want to be the headliners. Okay? For a while, they wanted 6ix9ine to be it until it became dangerous. Then they said, oh, you can't come to Summer Jam. Yeah, you don't want to make money off him anymore. You know, so they pick and choose. Right now, Nicki's the enemy, and Cardi's the princess,
Yeah,
and
Cardi's
you the
winning
Bella.
right now.
Yeah, because she's playing her role the right way. You know, she changed her brand.
What did she change?
Well,
still ghetto,
right
she's still
now,
ratchet.
you know what's in. What's
That's
in
on
right
social
now.
media. That's on social media. Mainstream,
Right.
she's
But-
she's glitter, she's
But Nick,
glam.
what's
Why you
in
think she
right,
got rid of
what's
her
in
Instagram?
right now as a
Because somebody
society?
told her, yo,
But
they're
she-
tired of seeing that. You
What's,
know, mess up
what's
the money.
in right now as a society is reality. That's not really reality. So Cardi is in an era right now where she's allowed to be herself, and people like her for that, you know, or what's perceived to be herself, and people like her for that. You know, we're not sure if this is actually who she really is, but the kids, the
selling.
fans, they love it. You know, they get a chance to get a glimpse at who she really is or who they think she really is, and they love it. So
I wish the best for them. You know, they're both going to be rich for a very, very long time, and you know they'll go into their 80s and 90s very, very rich, and their kids will do whatever they want in this world. And we only discuss them because of their position in the culture.
Nicki
But
has
you know,
her
I just
radio
hope that
show, so-
I hope that, and that's my point. I hope that they use their platforms to do a little more good, so
Yeah.
we can start talking about things like that other than them arguing.
Well, I definitely wanted to bring up Drake's speech that was cut off. I know you guys probably didn't even watch the Grammys.
No, I don't have any
Yeah, I was
interest.
probably
in
like playing basketball.
that. No
or whatever.
interest. Yeah.
So they cut him off. He was actually trying to make a good point. He was trying to say like, you don't even need this award. If people already know your songs and whatever, you've already won.
Mhm.
You've already elevated. You know, you got to that point of elevation of not even
Absolutely,
needing this.
yeah. Self
And I was looking up the,
love.
who chooses. Like, how do you choose who wins a Grammy? And it's not even voted by the people.
yeah.
I mean, it's all about self-love, and it's crazy I'm saying that with Valentine's Day coming tomorrow. But loving yourself is a big part of it. If you love who you are and what you're doing, and you know you love your fans and you love the embrace that you get, you know you don't need validation from anyone. You definitely don't need validation from an award. You know, you don't need any Billboard charts.
You could actually go and make your own award.
Yeah, you really
Like,
can, and have your own party and
Exactly.
celebrate it with the people you love.
Exactly.
You
So
know, I think
guess
we do
that's a
that.
lesson for
We
some
do
people
that
out
in
there.
we do that in all aspects of life. We do
Right.
that in sports also. I mean, we put a lot of emotion and a lot of our insides into the awards thing. You know, I think the MVP award's been given out for a really long time, and in basketball, for instance, when the MVP award is given out, 9 times out of 10 they don't even give it to the real MVP. They give it to the best player on the best team now. But that might not be the MVP.
Right.
The MVP might be the guy who's on the 7th seed team who, if he's not playing, they don't even make the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like,
Or the guy that's not sending out tweets about being traded.
yeah, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, we'll catch up with that next week, y'all. You know, definitely keep up with us on social media, Sports Talk Radio.
Yes,
Check
make
us
sure you
out
guys
on
follow us.
YouTube, Sports Talk Radio, New York City.
Yes.
And we're going to check y'all next week at the same time, 8:30, Sticks Mitchell, Sticks Show.
Nicki Marie.
Your boy M Extra, Mary Highlight, give you
Happy
insight.
V-Day,
Make
people.
sure you guys follow us.
Love is love.